Hey everybody, you've probably seen a roller coaster before, right? Or maybe you've been to Rainbow Bridge in Utah. Or perhaps you've seen a baseball game. Ooh, look at that pitch. Nice slow pitch. There's another one coming at you. And sometimes though,
That'll be a 1-0 to A-Rod.
that's right, sometimes they do hit them, right? So if you look at that, let's look at a few more. Golden Gate Bridge. Probably been there before, seen it. This is in a church in Barcelona, Spain. And who can forget the Eiffel Tower in Paris? Yes, all of these are examples of parabolas or curves. And you could see them, some of them went up like this, some of them were shaped like arches, but they all have the same thing in common. They're all parabolas. And we're going to learn how to build them right now. What's up everybody? Hey, it's Mr. C and welcome back to another STEM with Mr. C. I am your host, Mr. C, and today we're going to continue on with our math unit because remember, here at STEM with Mr. C, we put the M in STEM.
Data? That was not funny.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about parabolas and curves today. So you saw the beginning, you saw parabolas in architecture, parabolas in nature. So we're going to learn about what they are. We're going to draw them. But first, we need to talk about our materials. So first thing, you are going to need some grid paper or graph paper. Hey, if you don't have it, that's fine. Plain paper works just fine. Even lined paper. Look, if you have any sort of paper, it's fine. It'll work, okay? A ruler. Highly recommend a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, you can always improvise and take the edge of a hardcover book. And congratulations, you have a ready-to-go ruler right there. You're also going to need a pencil. So pencil is good. You can also, if you want to get artistic, some color pencils. I'm using markers here just so you can see what I'm doing. It'll show up better on the camera. And that's really it. So we're going to go ahead and you're going to stop looking at me and you're going to look at my grid paper and we're going to kick this off in 3, 2, 1. Hey folks, welcome back. So I've got my grid paper up and I'm going to go ahead and the first thing I'm going to do is make a right angle. I'm going to make a big right angle. So for those that are unfamiliar with right angles, or maybe it's been a little bit, remember, this is why we use grid paper. All of these squares, right, like this right here is a right angle. If you look at that, right? Right angle, 90 degrees, the corner of a square, corner of a right triangle. Okay, so that's the cool thing about using grid paper is we don't have to think too hard about our right angles. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm just gonna go ahead and draw a big line. I'm not gonna draw too big of a line because we're just gonna warm up here. So let's do it at the top of the page. Right there. There we go, we all see that. And then let's go ahead and I'm gonna count out my spaces. I wanna make sure it's even. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. And then let's draw the rest of our line. And look at that. We have a nice little, what we would call this, a quadrant right here. Quadrant. It's a good word, quadrant. From here, what I'm going to have you do is we're just going to go ahead and make little dots on each one of these lines, right? You don't have to do this every time, but this is a great first time if you're not used to drawing parabolas. It's helpful to kind of basically connect the dots. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to label my axis. Oh wait, what's an axis, Mr. C? Well, this right here, that's an axis. This is my x-axis, goes left to right, and this is my y-axis. Oh, don't worry, that's not on the test. That's just something to dip your toes into a little bit of geometry and graphing. So I'm just going to label each one of these, and I'm going to label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, everyone see that? Perfect. And then we do the same thing going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we have our axis labeled. Look at that, very nice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the dots. But I don't want you to connect 1 to 1 and 2 to 2 because all that's going to do is give you a bunch of straight lines. It's not going to really mean anything. It's not going to look like a parabola. So we are going to connect opposite numbers. So we are going to go from 12 to 1, and then 11 to 2, and then 10 to 3. I think we see a pattern here, right? 9 to 4, so as I go down here, I'm going up here. I'm going to use blue marker just because it is my favorite color, and I think it provides a nice contrast to the black. So we're going to start from 12 to 1. This is why a ruler is exceptionally helpful because, one, I can't draw a straight line without a ruler. Not very well anyway. And then let's go 11 to 2. And then 10 to 3. It does help to have a kind of a transparent ruler. If you have one of those, something you can see through. If you don't have one, it's fine. And again, you may be using the edge of a book, which is it's actually a really great. There we go. And then let's go 5 to 7. Look at that, pretty good. 4 to 8. We kind of see, all we're doing is drawing nothing but straight lines. So this should impress you a little bit. Impresses me every time, and I used to draw these a lot. And then 1 to 11. And look at that. Look at that, awesome. I mean, using nothing but straight lines, we made a curve. Look at that. Using nothing but straight lines, we made a curve. Now, I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so that's a pretty good curve. What would happen if we used like less lines? Okay, it's a good question. So let's do the same thing. And I'm going to draw the same amount. I'm going to draw 12. So we're going to start here. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Gets a little close, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and I'm just gonna draw my straight lines. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna use less lines to kind of show you what's going on here. Okay, once I get my ruler lined up, there we go, perfect. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna label every other one. Okay, I'm gonna label every other one. And I'm just gonna come up with numbers, so I have, watch this. Let's go to get my smaller marker out, and we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you see I'm skipping it, so this would be 0, half, 1, 1 1/2, 2. I'm just skipping, right? And there's a reason why I'm doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now we're going to use half as many lines because here we used 12 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, 12 lines. We used 12 lines. We're only going to use 6 here, and we're going to see how that looks. All right, and with me, same thing. We'll do this together, and then at the end, I'll start speeding this up. Same thing, 6 to 1. Now again, I didn't put the dots there because I know where the lines need to be. If you still need to put the dots there, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. 6 to 1. Then now, let's spin it around. Let's go 5 to 2. And now let's go 4 to 3. Now we go 3 to 4. And now we go 2 to 5. And now we go 1 to 6. Okay, so we have the same curve, but check this out, right? It's not as smooth, right? I've used half as many lines, so my curve does kind of, right? It's not very sharp, it's not smooth. It kind of, you see it, little points right there, right, where it starts to bend, right, but it doesn't look like a natural bend, it looks like kind of a straight line bend, right? And we could even make this smoother yet if we used more lines, right? We could go we can go right here. I could easily connect more lines if I cut those in half, right? So the more lines you use, the smoother your curve is going to be. The less lines, well, obviously the less smooth it's gonna look. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna experiment around a little bit with our right angle. So I know I said right angle. You don't absolutely have to have a right angle, and I'm gonna show you that right now. So we're gonna start off with an acute angle. Yes, it's an angle that's very acute because it is less than 90 degrees, between 0 and 89.9999999 degrees. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to draw my acute angle. It doesn't really matter. I'll draw a 45-degree angle only because easier for me to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's just go to 10. Do 10. There we go. And then my 45-degree angle, it's going to be, it's about right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's about a 45. I don't have my protractor with me, but we'll just go with that. Okay. And there's my acute angle. And then I'm going to put my dots there just because it is a little tougher to see when you're doing acute, or even if you did obtuse angles, right? There we go. Perfect. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'll label them if you want, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so let's go ahead, and now I'm going to switch my colors out. Let's do red. I did blue for the numbers, let's do red for the lines. And it's the same principle, right? We're just matching up opposite numbers. 10 to 1, 9 to 2, 8 to 3, so on and so on. All right, and let's do 10 to 1. And look at that curve. Now what's the difference, right? Obviously, let's look at our other curve here. Let's look at our two curves. Look at that. So as we brought the angle in, we made an acute angle, the curve really, it really kind of made a sharp turn rather than kind of a lazy turn like this. Okay, now obviously, we can make an assumption that the smaller the acute angle, the tighter the curve is going to be. All right, we can do the same thing with an obtuse angle. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to draw my axis out, and I'm going to do the same thing. We'll do tens. So go to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to go the same way. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like we're only going to 9. That's fine. We'll go to 9. Only because I ran out of room on my graph paper. So we're going to make our obtuse angle. Remember, an obtuse angle, that is any angle greater than 90 degrees. So 90.0001 to 180 degrees. Well, 179.99999 degrees. Okay, it's your obtuse angle. Basically just think greater than 90 degrees. All right, so I'm making my dots here just because it makes it easier for me to see. Let's do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember, I'm only going to 9 because I didn't plan out my space very well. 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, So now we're gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna switch this over back to red, and let's see what this looks like. Remember, 9 to 1, 8 to 2, 7 to 3, and so on. All right, let's give it a go. Ready, set, go. And look at that. We really opened that curve up simply by opening up the angle, right? So now we have this nice wide curve. Look at that, man, that's pretty awesome. Okay, time to get a little artistic here, and I'll explain it. I'm gonna dip your toes into some graphing and geometry. So go ahead and take out a fresh sheet of paper. 3, 2, 1. Look at that. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw some quadrants here. And this is gonna be something when you get into middle school, high school, you guys will become very familiar with graphing. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick a point, and I'm gonna go over this a little bit. We're gonna go up 10, why not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Always plan out your graphs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check this out. Now I'm gonna go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and now go ahead and draw your axis. And you should have what looks like a little plus sign or a cross, the Swiss flag, you know. You know, I really like Switzerland, but their flag is a huge plus to me. Flag and geography jokes. Who would have thought in math class? Okay, so check this out. We still have our axis, right? This is our x-axis, and this is our y-axis. Okay, x goes left to right, or side to side, y goes up and down. So when I'm labeling, check this out. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But when I go this way on the x-axis, I have negative numbers. Ooh, yes, we're getting some negative numbers. Real briefly, I'm not gonna get super into it, but when you are graphing like this, right, when you go to the right for the x-axis, positive. When you go up on the y-axis, positive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But when you go down, it's negative. Check that out. You don't have to label these. If you'd like to, go ahead. Why not? Check that out. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on these two quadrants here, just these two quadrants, okay? And we're gonna do our same thing, but we're gonna see what it looks like when we kind of add a little color and art to this. Okay, so same thing, 10 to 1, 9 to 2, and then we're gonna do the same thing in this quadrant, but it's gonna be, let me make that X, 10 to negative 1, 9 to negative 2. It's the same pattern, we're just throwing some negative numbers in there, right? Okay, so I'm gonna alternate my colors. I'm gonna use blue, red, and green. And I'm gonna really kind of just make this fun. And I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up. I'm just gonna do these two quadrants. I'm gonna start with this quadrant, and then I'm gonna do this quadrant. All right, you guys ready? Set, and go. And there we go. Now I did mess up one of my colors a little bit, but that's okay. Look at that. Not too bad. Now if we did the other quadrants, we'd have kind of what would look like, I don't even know what that would look like, but we could definitely do that. Okay, that's our introduction to parabolas. Let's go over to curves and see what's going on with our curves. What's up, everybody? Welcome back, and we are going to tackle some curves now. You can use the same materials. You won't need grid paper. Plain paper is fine. You are going to need something to draw a circle with. So I have a compass here. I understand that everybody may not have a compass. So there's lots of things you can use to make circles. Obviously, you can use another circle, right? I have a circle here. I have the bottom of my coffee cup right over here. Yeah, that'll make a circle. Really, you can use anything. So I'm just going to, and you can also make an oval, an ellipse. I'm just going to do it with the circle, and I'm going to use this and go ahead and I'm going to trace my circle around. Just like this. And back under. And there's my circle. Pretty good, right? Okay, so all we're gonna do now is we have to go around and make evenly spaced marks around the shape, right? That's gonna be kind of tough to get them perfectly even, and if it's not, hey, you know what, that's fine. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna start off here, and I'm just gonna make little tick marks, okay? I like to cut it in half, and I like to cut it in quarters, okay? Or what you can do, I'm gonna show you how I do it. Yeah, I like to do something like that, right? So at least I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then really it's just about dividing. So I have in between here, so I'm just gonna make half of that. And really, I'm kind of estimating, I'm guessing right now. But let's go ahead and say, let's see, put it right there. And let's go ahead and make it, if I'm gonna do it here, make it mark, make another mark. All right, so now I've cut that in half. I'm gonna go and cut this in half, or pretty close to it. All right, and then, so now I have 6 marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I'm gonna go around and just make evenly spaced marks. Now you can measure this if you want. I am just going to kind of eyeball it, right? And that's a little bit spaced out, that's fine. But really, it just needs to be pretty close. And even if it's not perfect, it's still gonna look great. And you can see I'm just going around. And there's my marks, okay? Now it's not perfect, but it'll work for here. And now all we're gonna do is we're just gonna start and we're gonna connect our lines, but we're gonna use, again, nothing but straight lines. So I'm gonna label this because it helps me to label where to start. I'm gonna label this 0, and I'm just gonna go around and label my circle. So I'm gonna speed this up so you can see me label. Ready, set, go. And there we go. All right, so I actually have one extra one in there because I know that it should be 40. So it's kind of, it works. All right, and so now all we're gonna do is we're gonna connect our lines. Now, how you wanna connect them is up to you. You can take, let's say, 0, and you can connect 0 to 6, right? So something like this. So you can have a rule where you say, I'm going to do +6. So whatever my number is here, 0 plus 6 equals 6. You can do this, 0 plus 10. You can do an add 10. You can even just do an add 4 if you want. Okay, so we're gonna make this kind of easy, and let's just go add by tens. We're gonna do add by tens, and you can really kind of see how this is gonna shape up. Shape up. 0 to 10. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's do a green marker, and let's go ahead and go 0 to 10. Ooh, nice. And then we keep going. Now 1 to 11. And all we're doing is just going up every time. 2 to 12. 3 to 13. 4 to 14. Really easy when you do add 10 because I don't have to really do any hard math. 5 to 15. And look at this, we got kind of a little curve going on here. So I think you guys have the pattern here, right? Whatever you did, I did add 10, you can do add 20, you can do add 6. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this. I'm gonna speed this up so you can see my curve in action. Ready, set, and go. And we are done. Look at that. Now you can obviously see some of the imperfections in my lines, some of my miscounting there, but really that's pretty impressive. Using nothing but straight lines, we've made a little circle here, a circle within a circle, like a web circle. Now you could obviously stretch this out and make an ellipse. You can make another ellipse going this way, and you could use the same principle, right? Now, if we were to, let's say, change this, let's say I wanted to make my curves a little shallower, what that would start to look like is this. So let's do my +5, 0 to 5, and I'll show you what that shapes up like. So I'm gonna redo this, but I'm gonna do it in red pen. Ready, set, go. 0 to 5. And I'm not gonna go do the whole thing, but look at this. I have that red outer circle, my green inner circle. I mean, you can really play around with this and have a lot of fun doing some curve, which we're gonna do this next week. We're gonna do something called curve stitching. But yeah, this is the beginning of it, of showing you guys how to make curves using nothing but straight lines. That looks pretty impressive. I'll show you some other ones when we talk about what we're doing here and why we're doing this. Okay, here we go. Coming back in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back. So hopefully you enjoyed that lesson of drawing parabolas and then curves within circles. We're gonna do something next week, and we're gonna use needle and thread. Don't worry, they're dull needles, not real thin thread, and we're gonna make our own parabola art, and we're gonna make some curve stitching as well. But let's talk about what a parabola is, right? So you're looking at it, and you're looking at the beginning, seeing the Eiffel Tower, or seeing the arch in St. Louis, and you're saying, well, yeah, they're just curves, right? They're just, arches. Yes, they are, but here's a picture, and I really like this picture because we already know what a circle is, right? We know what a circle is. We already know what an ellipse is, or like an oval. But this is the first time we've ever probably heard of a parabola. And when you put it on this cone, right? Don't worry about the bottom one. That's different. That's something later. The parabola, right? It's basically taking a sheet of paper, right? And then let's think of an ice cream cone and just sliding that piece of paper through that cone. Well, that little curve right there, that's the parabola, which is really cool, right? So why do we do parabolas? Like, what's the whole point of this? Well, one of the reasons we learn about parabolas, or really anything is in math, this one in particular, it's really, I'm not gonna say it's the first time you really start to see something that you learn in the classroom applied to the real world, right? I know a lot of students say, why do we have to learn this? When am I ever gonna use this? It's a common complaint, right? Well, if you looked in architecture or in nature, parabolas when we draw them on paper, parabolas in nature and architecture, a paraboloid, but you see them all over the place, right? And you really start to get that connection of what a parabola is, and then you get to see it in real life, and you actually see how many parabolas we have in our building construction. An arch, right? Arches in construction are extremely strong. It's one of the reasons why we use parabolas. And if you look at, I don't know, the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge, you can kind of see that curve. You can actually really see that curve of parabolas. So it's a real great way to kind of learn about something and then see it applied in the real world. So for those of you that like math, that like construction, that like architecture, hey, this may be the thing for you. Okay, shifting gears. Let's go over to curves now. Now, curves are really awesome, okay? Now, I don't mean the parabola curves, I mean the circle curves that we did. They're really cool, and I want to introduce you to someone that I was aware of, but didn't really start reading about her until about a couple years ago. Her name is Mary Everest Boole. And she's actually really awesome because she basically just taught herself math. Because you gotta understand, this is at a time in the early 1800s, well, mid to late 1800s, women didn't have the same rights as men, right? Women couldn't go to school, they weren't allowed to go to school, they weren't, women don't need to learn math, they don't need to learn science. And this was this was a common theme, I won't say throughout the world, but let's just say in the United States and in Western Europe. And so the fact that she just said, well, I'm gonna learn this anyway. So she taught herself math, taught herself calculus. What's calculus? That's calculus. Yeah, that gives me a headache looking at it. It's been about a minute since I've touched that, okay? But her best, I think, the coolest thing that she did is that she encouraged children to explore math, right? Just through playing, right? Like what we're doing here. I mean, she invented curve stitching. The thing we just did, yeah, she invented it, right? She was able and did a really great job of connecting these, like when you think of math, right, and numbers, they're really, it's hard to grasp. Like, what do you mean a parabola? What do you mean I have, 5 apples and 10, like, I don't know what that means. But she was able to take kids and connect them to math using everyday activities. You're probably thinking, yeah, that's cool. We already kind of do that now. Yeah, I know. The year's 2020, she did this in the 1800s, right? So, like, how awesome is that, right? And then from a women's rights perspective, I mean, it's really interesting because she persevered and made a career in academics, basically in the same system that didn't really welcome them, right? So she was a really great mathematician, a great teacher, had a ton of contributions to education. So that is what we are doing. We're gonna actually see this in art next week. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna take it away from the drawing with the pen and paper, and we're gonna use yarn and needles, dull needles, and some cardboard, or if you have some cloth, we can do that as well. It's gonna be really awesome. So anyway, that's your lesson on the beginning of curve stitching and parabolas. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this. Again, don't forget to tell me what you learned. My 3rd through 5th graders, please do your exit tickets. Pretty please. With sugar on top, please do your exit tickets. I know some of you have. I read them. I love them. I love to hear what you learned about, what you didn't know, or maybe something that you want to see and experiment in the future. hey, take a picture of your parabolas, take a picture of your the beginnings of your curve stitching drawing. I know the Ermini Squad, hashtag Ermini Squad, hey, you guys did this with me a couple weeks ago. But hey, if you guys still have those, great. If not, hey, draw some more and show me. Or if you want to show me a time lapse of you drawing your curves, that would be awesome too. Okay, hey, this is Mr. C, STEM with Mr. C. I'll catch you guys next week. Don't forget everything you learned because we're going to use this next week. See you guys later.